welcome to another episode of Awaken After Hours. I'm Brian McVeigh.
Chris.
And we have a couple special guests here.
Special guests.
Mike and
Stephanie
Hartman.
I'm Stephanie. This is Mike.
Thank you for, because I wasn't sure if they're going to get that or not.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to ask. I just assumed that.
So, you guys do something really interesting that I think our audience would love. And you want to explain exactly what that is?
Really?
Well, the stuff you can talk about.
Oh.
Not the behind the closed doors stuff.
But that's interesting, too.
Yeah. We'll get to that
We'll talk about that later. We'll put that in the extras.
Right.
We're both paranormal investigators. We started out in Michigan here, and we've had a lot of fun over the years. We've done a number of paranormal conventions as well. Mm-hmm. We got into it mostly for the residential, like people that are actually having problems in their own personal homes and whatnot. So it's we try to help people out, but it's a very interesting, and I hate to use the word field, but it's a very interesting study.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I'm a skeptic with an open mind as far as that goes, but so I'm a techie at heart.
Yeah.
So I will try to replicate things and try to figure it out before I say anything's paranormal.
Now, are you the same way, or do you just think everything is real, or do you guys balance each other out on, or have different?
Yeah, we
do.
Yeah.
Make sure
is there arguments?
That
I'm more of a believer, I think, than he's very skeptical. Like he'll debunk anything that I think is going on. He'll try to make reason of it.
Gotcha.
Like that something's causing it. But sometimes he can't.
But that's a good thing. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Right.
You're supposed to actually
Absolutely.
hear something and then figure out, okay, is it happening just within inside the house? Is it something from the house, or is it something unexplainable?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What got you into that?
Well, we've both always been very spiritual, very kind of like we've had experiences where we always thought there was something, and then then the shows came on TV and everybody watches Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and all that. And
so I'm sorry, Steph. Real quick, we'll have to. You want to move up a little bit?
I need my booster seat.
You need your booster seat.
We had an opportunity to do an investigation at Fort Wayne, Detroit, and that kind of set it all off for us.
What is that like?
It's a pre-Civil War fort down on the river in Detroit. It's 76 acres, 72 acres, huge, and everything is. We ended up becoming volunteers there because they always need people. The upkeep is constant,
right?
And so everybody would volunteer, and that's when most of the paranormal activity would happen.
Did you find paranormal activity
Absolutely.
there? I would think
Absolutely.
definitely from Civil War stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's also you've got the Prohibition gangs that were down there. You've got Indians. We're always on that. It was Indian land before they built the fort there.
Oh well, shit. Yeah. I mean, you have a lot of things happening there.
There's, we should. One of the other things we did while we were there, the team that we were with at the time was Metro Paranormal Investigations, and we were out there. One of the things we do. We don't just we don't just host investigations, whatnot, and a lot of it is site restoration. So we spent a lot of time there restoring that site. The whole team did. And
there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into lots of hours.
It's awesome to try to preserve the locations and the places.
Yeah, yeah.
And you walk into the buildings, and because you can feel the energy that's there.
Yeah.
And you walk in, and you just start talking to what you think is there. And we would have so many things that would happen.
Oh, the one. I mean, the one night that you and I were out there doing some work, it was just you and I on the site, and the security guys at the front gate.
So there was nobody else in this building.
Yeah.
Just him and I.
She's
and it was
in
like
the
10
kitchen.
o'clock at night.
She's in the kitchen doing some touch-up paint work, and I'm in the
Women's bathroom.
Was it the women's bathroom? Yeah, I was. Well, you know,
Well, of course.
I was trying to get in touch with my female side.
Right.
Your name is Steph.
Well, wait,
Yeah,
but
that's
so
right.
we're on opposite sides of the building at the time,
Yeah.
and we both kept hearing this noise, and it was just like this tunk 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 over and over and over, and we
Like someone
both
playing racquetball.
yelled at each other, "Quit doing that! What are you doing?" So we met in the middle, and neither one of us was doing it.
Yeah.
And what it sounded like is this was a recreational hall, and the soldiers at the time would play handball.
Yeah.
And so the ball would hit the floor, hit the wall, and then they'd catch it, and that's what we were hearing. Tunk,
Wow.
tunk,
I mean, just
tunk,
one of the
tunk, tunk,
activities.
tunk.
They had a
Yeah.
bowling alley in the basement. You
And
would hear
you
that
could
at
you
night.
could
Really?
literally
Yeah.
the bowling alley was decommissioned. You couldn't. I mean, there's no way a ball would roll
Oh, yeah,
down
no.
this bowling alley, but you could stand above the bowling alley on the floor, and because it was in the basement, and you could feel the ball. You could hear the ball roll down and the pins.
But you can feel
but you could
going down the
feel
wood.
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah,
that
like-
ball rolled down
Right.
that alley.
Wow.
Like when you bowl. I mean, if
crazy.
anybody's ever done 10-pin
Right.
bowling, you're standing there and you could feel the ball.
Yeah, you feel
rolling
the ball go
the-
down the
yeah,
lane. Yeah, you know that feeling.
Yeah.
We had some friends from Ohio State Reformatory there one night,
Oh yeah.
and everybody was kind of sitting around the tables in the mess hall, and then there's a door, and then you go into the middle part. And I told her, I'm like, Krista, come here, you got to feel this. And we just stood there in the middle of that room, and she goes, what is that? And I'm like, that's the bowling alley.
That is
That's cool.
Yeah.
And that's just one
how
thing.
how
you know,
I was
that's
gonna
just
say
one
how long
thing.
were you guys there?
Jeez.
2 or 3 years.
At least. Yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
doing volunteer work and helping out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Now,
And a lot of times we'd be there on our own. Like we'd be the only ones on the site.
Because we lived
You know,
the closest.
So most of, I
Oh my
mean,
God.
most of the, a lot of people try to record it with audio. They try to record it with the photo or the video and whatnot. But really, most of the activity that we've ever had is during the day while we're working there. And I mean, not at night. And
When
it's
you're
not
not
recorded because we're not
investigating.
expecting it. Yeah.
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 Wow.
The most activity that we encounter is when we're not investigating.
So when you're not looking for it, is when you find it.
So and then what I've heard in the past too. So if you're working with camera gear or any type of gear that has batteries, that a lot of times when things happen, your batteries drain. Have you ever found that to be the case?
Yeah, we've run into that a few times. I mean, there's and again, my skeptic's coming out. I mean,
Well, everything is based on theory.
It
Nope,
is,
You
it
know,
is,
none
there
of the
is.
paranormal is proven.
Well,
So
right.
everything is based on theory.
Right.
So the theory is that the spiritual side needs energy to build,
Yeah.
to be able to do things. And so they pull that energy from whatever source they can find, be it you,
Right.
because everybody's made of energy.
Right.
Right.
So they pull it from you, they pull it from your batteries, whatever they can find.
Yeah, they'll draw on stuff.
I have an experience with that actually. Just about a month ago, actually, I was at a house. So I do a lot of I do photography, and then I do a lot of real estate photography too. So and then I also have a 3D camera that shows 3D spaces.
Yeah.
Right. So it's Matterport. And I was at a home about a month ago, and I got to this spot in the hallway, and there's complete light, and the camera kept disconnect, and the battery was going boom, boom, down, down, down. And I've never had this issue. I've had this
Nice.
camera for a year and a half now, and never had the issue. And I finally called the real estate agent. I said, "Hey, I can't do it. It would never make it past that point." And I was trying to get into the kid's bedroom. This is a true story. I was trying to get into the kid, and I didn't know anything. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on with this camera right now. I never had it. Honestly, I thought, okay, I'm going to have to get home, call the help desk, find out what's going on with this camera. And I come outside, so I just was like, okay, this isn't going to happen. We already photographed the house. I come outside. I tell the homeowner, I said, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do a 3D tour on the house. I said, we did get photos, but I'm not going to be able to do a tour on the house because whenever I go into the kid's bedroom, my camera just shuts down. And she said, my son, who's 3 years old, my son, who's 3 years old, keeps coming to me and telling me that he's talking to somebody at night in that room. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
Yeah.
And this sounds like true. So I went home that night, and I got home. I connected the camera up at my house. Everything worked
Everything was
fine.
fine.
Never had a problem. Never had a problem since then. Never had a problem before then.
Yeah.
And I was like, and she didn't know I was having problems. Like, she was at the neighbor's house, and then she saw me in the front yard when I was leaving. She came out. She goes, "You guys done?" I'm like, "Yeah." And that's when I told her. And she goes, "Oh, yeah, that room. He keeps saying he sees somebody. He's talking to somebody in that room."
And that's why, we would get phone calls is because of instances like that. And they're like, can you help us explain it? They may not be scared of it. It may not be a problem, but
That's
they
what I
just
told her.
want
I
an
said,
answer.
That's what I told her. I said, "Nothing's happened, right?" And she said, "No." I said, "Well, I wouldn't worry about it then."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, kind of just,
And
it's okay.
9.5 times out of 10, there's nothing to worry about.
Right.
You can coexist in the same house, in the same building. It's not demonic. It's not evil. I mean, yes, there is evil energy, and yes, there is negative energy, is what.
Right.
Yeah.
But and it can wreak havoc on people.
I
It
believe in
really
it.
can.
I believe in it. I'll be honest. I believe
Yeah.
that sometimes if you're a soul, and I think a lot of it has to do if there's unfinished business. If it's
Right.
kind of like there feels
Yep.
like something didn't get done or something didn't get finished, and so you're there. That soul's there. That energy's there, trying to finish whatever it is they're trying to finish.
and
Does
what-
that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
oh, yeah.
one thing at the fort that
Big
we
time.
would get a lot of people would ask questions is why would there be something here? Why would something come back here?
There's no known. There's no.
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
there were no known.
right.
Hey, Rob, we're on a podcast.
It's not Rob.
Oh, Tony.
He's talking about the tattoo.
Tony.
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 Way to
Oh,
go,
my
Tony!
God.
Way to go, bro.
So you guys, you were part of a group, and then you went off and started your own company, correct? Or is that
Our own group. We just
Group,
kinda
okay,
got-
is it a
we-
group? It
well,
isn't like a-
It's not. I mean, it's
What's
a
the
group,
name?
A group of two.
What's the name of it?
it's the best name.
S&M.
S&M.
Steph and Mike.
I hope you're not
S&M.
thinking of something else.
I mean,
'cause
both
it's-
are fine.
It's
I mean,
Stephanie and Mike.
Stephanie and Mike
right?
is cool.
Yeah.
We have
The
yeah.
S&M part would have been better, but that's cool.
Well, I am a techie, and I did convert. One of the devices they use often is a K2 meter, and I did convert it into a ball gag because, that way you can be hands free, right?
Why not?
You know.
I like your thinking, Mike. I like your thinking.
So we did, we have shirts, we have, we did all this stuff because at the conventions that we go to, you get tables just like the horror conventions. And that's how we met Tony, was
Yeah.
there's a mix between the horror and
Ghost hunting.
the paranormal stuff. And so a few times they've tried to mix the two at a convention. And that's how we met Tony.
So
It
what's the
was
full
us.
name of your company so people out there want to find it online? How do they find you?
I think
We are on Facebook,
Yeah, Facebook.
and Twitter.
Just
and-
S&M.
and
S&M
S&M
Paranormal.
Paranormal.
yeah,
S and the
And the ampersand.
M.
M.
Yep.
.com?
Nope,
No.
just on Facebook.
Just
Just
Facebook?
Facebook,
Okay.
yeah.
Just Facebook.
Okay. And you guys are based out of Atlanta now?
Yes.
Yep.
We moved to Atlanta about a year and a half ago, so
What took you down there?
warm.
Yeah.
Weather.
Yeah.
It was a sad day in Michigan.
Yeah.
So-
it was.
A lot easier chasing ghosts than the warmth and the cold.
Yeah. There's more of them down there because it's warmer down there.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you've
they're in the
got-
boat.
Yeah. there's so much history down there.
We
It's
we moved to Lake Lanier, and I mean, you go ahead and tell them all about the history about Lake Lanier.
well.
because
So Lake
it's-
Lanier is the largest man-made lake in the United States. They had when was it built? Like the 40s?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Something like that?
Yeah.
They have 3 rivers that come together. All the land that is under Lake Lanier used to be, there's farmland, there's houses, there's towns, there's a racetrack, there's bridges, there's
Wow, that's crazy.
cemeteries.
So you just buried that
And,
just
and
Yeah.
the Army Corps engineer bought up all the land and built a dam and then
flooded
it.
Wow, that's nuts.
And so the urban legend, there's so much folklore about it that it's cursed,
Yeah.
that the lake is cursed.
Well,
It's
you
a-
took over
yeah, everybody's
places
pissed.
that right. You
Yeah.
took over places that people built and they put their
how-
time
Right.
and energy
not,
into.
Not
Oh,
only
yeah.
did the Indians own that land, and then you have the war, but you have, think of all the stuff that's buried under there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't remove all that. before you can't possibly remove all those
No,
bodies
there's people's
before
heart
you
and
fled them.
souls with
Exactly.
built
and
into
so
that.
if you died, your energy is with that place.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So
it's
speaking
pretty-
of
pretty
evil
fun.
souls, though, have you guys came across any? Or any that you felt
We
maybe were not right?
Tony,
Besides
not right.
Tony's.
Tony Moran would be not
We
right.
already know his is not right.
You felt like something followed us home from Trans-Allegheny,
Yeah,
didn't
no,
you?
not
Or was it
Trans-Allegheny. It was
Sedumsville?
Sedumsville, yeah, yep. We went. So again, I mean, it was one of those deals where we went down to investigate Sedumsville, and I'm thinking there's nothing here. I mean, it's
Sedumsville's
nothing.
in Cincinnati.
We spent the night there, slept there on air mattresses, and we came home. And I don't even think we even did the review of our audio or video that we had there yet, even today. But I mean, it was. I got back home and it started a series of nights that I would wake up and there was a guy standing there. Michael Myers was standing at the end of my bed.
Oh. Well, that was just Tony.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Just watching you sleep.
I told you to get out of there before he woke up.
Did you give him a key to the house? But yeah, no, and then it got to the point where like third or fourth time. And then eventually the guy was like hovering right over top of me when I'd wake up, and I didn't see it. It was just that sense that something's there.
But he didn't tell me.
No, I didn't.
He didn't tell me.
Well, he didn't want to tell you there was another man in the bedroom.
Right.
He didn't know how you were gonna take it.
Exactly, right?
But after he did tell me, I waited until he was gone.
Yeah.
And then I have a cross that means a lot to me. It was my grandma's. She was a very devout Catholic. And I went through the house, and it's all about intention. Like, if your intention when you go into some place is to get to possessed, then you're gonna get possessed. Whether you really do or not, it's all about intention.
Yeah.
And so I went through that house with every intent in my body was you are gonna leave this house, and you are not welcome in this house. And I went through that whole house, and I salted doorways and windows, and the salt theory is that it creates a boundary that they
Salt?
can't break. Sea salt.
Yeah, sea salt.
That they
specifically.
can't break
Yeah.
that boundary.
Not pink Himalaya salt?
Well, maybe.
Sea salt.
Sea
Yeah.
salt.
Yeah.
Like
Who
potato
knew?
chips.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
And I ate them, and then I crushed them up, and
Just took your hands and go like this everywhere.
and after that, he said I don't think it was there anymore.
Wow.
I mean, now the whole sea salt thing. I mean, that brings up something that just totally intrigues me in the paranormal. I mean, we get into ufology, and the cryptoids, and so many different. I mean, paranormal to us is everything that people don't find normal.
unexplainable almost.
Yeah, it's
right.
all unexplained, and I mean, we totally get into this stuff, and I mean, you look at what do they call those guys? The shamans. I mean, they have a ritual before they can actually become a shaman. And they mix together all of these different natural plants, and they'll mix them together into a mix. And I mean, it gets to me, it's like I mean, if you ate each one of these, it wouldn't affect you. I mean, it has absolutely no effect on you. But when you put all three of them together, you start tripping out.
Yeah.
Like you're on a high.
Right.
And it's like, who the fuck thought that if I put these three together and I ate
They
that,
didn't know, dude.
I'm
They,
gonna get
were-
stoned.
they didn't have a lot to do, so they're just throwing stuff together.
Right. And they're going worldwide just to find this stuff, right?
Yeah, just to figure out what happens, you
Yeah.
know.
So I mean, and that gets into the whole,
But and I believe in curses. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
having Tony on and with movies and that, like they believe the whole cast of Poltergeist
Oh yeah.
was cursed. I
Yeah.
mean, if you actually look at that story,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much everybody that was on that set
Yep.
has died
Common.
in strange ways.
Yeah. Yep. And the whole
It's true.
pyramid.
True
thing
story.
With Tutankhamun.
What's
You know,
that?
The guys that opened the pyramid, the
Yeah.
King Tut's tomb.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of those guys died.
you just don't go messing with stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked about it here before, but Poltergeist 2 is another movie. So when I was a kid, I had my bedroom was on the second floor, and I had a pear tree right outside my window, and I grew up right next to a bunch of woods.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid at night, when the moon would shine through, that tree would cast a shadow inside my room.
Yeah.
Oh, that was some scary
Giant
shit.
pears.
I mean, listen, this has nothing to do with anything right now. I'm just telling you it was some
Attack of
scary
the giant
shit.
pears.
What was her name?
There was no pears on the tree in the winter.
She had to have a name, right?
Oh, jeez.
He just wasn't at that age to know yet.
No.
That's all.
Not yet.
So have you? So you travel the country, or do you stay pretty local, or?
We've been to so many places.
Yeah.
We helped Nick Groff when he left Ghost Adventures. He went off on his own and did his own tours, and so we helped him and their team do his tours,
Yeah.
and we got to see so many great places. Missouri State Penitentiary is probably one of my favorites because I saw something that I couldn't
Yeah.
explain for the first time. And it wasn't just feeling, it was seeing. You know, you actually see something come out of a cell on death row.
Yeah.
And that was really
So
cool.
that's closed down.
I drew it. I'll have to show
I was
you
gonna
a
say
picture.
that's where you sketched that, right?
So is that
Yeah.
closed? That place is closed down.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's open to investigation.
Right.
But it's
Right,
closed
but
down
like
to-
it's not a penitentiary
right.
anymore.
No.
What year do you know offhand? Like what year that place was open?
Oh my gosh!
Was that an 1800 prison?
Now they're gonna kill us when they
Like
find out.
late
if they listen to this
1800s,
podcast.
probably, I
Right.
think.
No, they're gonna kill us because we don't remember our homework.
Yeah,
You know,
right,
we're old.
Right. But we've done Missouri State Penitentiary is big.
Yeah.
Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum is big.
Ohio State.
Ohio State Reformatory, we were actually volunteers there for 3 years, I think,
Yeah,
before we
something
moved
like
down
that.
here.
Yeah.
So you guys are actually local. You might remember. So I grew up in the Westland area, and when I was a kid, we used to sneak through the tunnels and go to Eloise.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Remember going to Eloise, and that
Yeah.
place was freaky as could be.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was an old insane asylum.
Nobody's
big.
ever been able to legally investigate that place.
No.
Yeah,
Really?
well, it's gone now.
How come?
Well, there's one building.
Is there
left,
one building
yeah,
left?
And
But
it's being
an-
used by
yeah,
the
it's being
government,
used.
but they won't let anybody in there.
Yeah, so we used to sneak through the tunnels because you could get through the tunnels when
Yeah.
you know, and on the other side of the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
We'd sneak through the tunnels and we'd go up there as kids, and go up there at nighttime, and it was creepy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an insane asylum through the 20s and 30s, and there was some stuff going on there. I worked there they did a haunted house there, and I worked at that haunted house when I was a
Yeah.
teenager, and that was enough where I was like, all right, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
asylums are
Yeah, they
Well,
got
there's
killed.
so
the
much-
energy in asylums is different than the energy in a prison.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's so much real evil that happened in those places.
It,
But
it was
yeah.
awful.
Oh, there was.
It was
Yeah,
awful.
it was real evil.
There's
the
a lot of
experimental
experiences,
surgeries
yeah.
that were done because
Yeah.
they had no idea.
No.
Trans-Allegheny was a self-sustained asylum, so the people that lived there, the crazy people that lived there, and the other thing is you weren't just crazy. You weren't put in an asylum just because you were
Oh, no.
crazy. If your husband was killed in war, the wife and the kids were put in the asylum
Whether
because
they can
Oh, wow.
afford it
Yeah.
or not.
because
didn't know
it was
that.
the
I mean, it
man
was
that
just
ran
the-
the house
yeah.
and it was the man that cared for everybody.
Yeah.
And without that man, it was thought that the woman can't support her and her kids.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
What were some of the other ones? If you
Uh,
fell off a
fell
horse,
off a horse in battle.
in battle, you
Mm-hmm.
were put in an asylum.
Well, that's insane.
Yeah. So I got shot and I fell off my horse.
Yeah.
So you're
But
crazy.
I'm a
You're
lunatic,
crazy.
yeah.
You're a lunatic.
Yeah.
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 And then
Oh,
the test
yeah.
they did on you though in there, like the stuff they would do on people,
the shock therapy, the lobotomies,
it's insane.
gosh.
and,
yeah.
and Waverly Hills was the
Well,
same way.
you were just a guinea pig though, because there was no value to your life.
No.
So you're a lab rat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you were.
Right.
So to believe that there's none of that energy left behind, those are places where I'm like, oh, there's definitely something
Oh,
left
yeah.
behind, because you had some very probably sane, normal people in there where they were like, wait a minute, I
Yeah.
don't belong here.
Trans-Allegheny was the first time I'd ever really had an interaction with like a doppelganger, which is somebody that appears to be
Someone
a per-
else.
Someone
Yeah.
else. My friend and I were in the basement, and Mike had gone up to talk to one of the guys that runs the tour.
Yeah.
And so my friend and I, Brian, and we went downstairs, and we were investigating, and we were talking, and all of a sudden we heard somebody walking down the stairs, and he was talking, and it was Mike. It was Mike. I mean,
Wow.
it sounded like him. It walked like him. The voice was his, and we have it on recorder. And we were like, all right, we know you're there. You can't hide. Quit trying to scare us, blah, blah, blah. And after a while, Brian and I are like, okay, why is he not saying anything? You know, what's he doing? So we went upstairs, and he never left the room.
No.
Oh.
Never left.
That's crazy.
But it was him.
It was
I
a
know
long
my
conversation.
husband. It was
Yeah,
him,
yeah,
you
you
know.
know when it's.
You had a lot on your mind that day,
did.
Mike.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen these guys.
Yeah,
in
some
years.
stuff to get off your chest. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you, bro. I hear you.
That's
Wow.
a great place to
Oh,
investigate.
it was. I mean, it was one where I always felt there was somebody on my shoulder, you know, just like hanging out. You know?
Now, do you get used to that feeling? Is that something you get comfortable with when you're in places like that?
You never get comfortable with
No.
that feeling.
No.
It's a, you know, in some of these places that we go to, I mean, like this one's a location where they do, you know, they do these paranormal tour type things, you know, and that's outside of residential. Residential is to help people out, but these other ones that we'll do, like when we go to Trans-Allegheny, it's kind of a good test on your equipment, your abilities, you know, those kind of things. So it's a good place to learn, right? What you know, what is paranormal,
Right.
but yeah, that's not something you get too used to. And I mean, there's some locations I've walked into and I'm thinking, this place there's no way it's haunted, and I'm walking through there on my own, and I don't.
You
know,
ever feel something touch you, or?
No, I have not. I
Yeah.
have not.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, right, of course.
Yeah.
It's usually Mike
Oh.
or Tony.
Well, when you
Well,
got,
that's
you
not
know,
paranormal.
oh,
Right.
I was gonna say, when you got an ass like that.
Have you been to? I went to the Winchester Mansion in California.
No, but I would
Oh, my
love
gosh,
to go to
yes.
that.
It was pretty cool. Have you been to
Yeah.
that? It was cool. It was cool though. It was cool though, because you got to, I mean, stairways that lead to nowhere, and
Well,
she never stopped construction on the house
Right.
because she felt the ghost. She felt the people that were killed by the Winchester
Yes.
ammo
Yep.
were going to come back to haunt her.
Yeah.
So she never stopped construction on the house, and she would build stairways that would lead to ceilings. And then, yeah, she'd build rooms where you couldn't necessarily, you had to go through doors and doors and doors to get out of the room. She was a bit.
Wow.
So that was, I mean, that's
She was interesting.
one of the other things that I love about, you know, about this. I mean, you know, I hated history in high school, right? So, but when you learn this, when you get into this stuff, you have to learn the
It
history.
forces you to.
You do,
Yeah.
You know, and then you get into loving the architecture. I mean, you know, when you look at the Winchester Mansion, I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, you start to wonder, how the hell is this thing still together?
Yeah.
Because of the way it just doesn't fit. I mean, you don't have the structure in those places.
Yeah, she made.
Well,
it
and
was-
over the years, things have changed. Like in Ohio State Reformatory, there's so many places that are that are unexplored.
Yeah.
And they were tearing apart the records room one day, and behind this
Oh my
wall
gosh,
of
yeah.
paneling was
Yeah.
a doorway to a kitchen, and the kitchen was full of the warden's wife's furniture.
Yeah.
with-
Everything was
with-
in there.
from way
Yeah.
back when.
They just,
yeah,
they
the
just
first warden's
boarded
wife.
it up.
They just put all
Yeah.
her furniture
Just
in
closed
this,
it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lady that worked in the records room always smelled chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
She always smelled chocolate chip cookies baking.
Well, they never took
now-
them out of the oven.
and-
You're right. They're just in there.
And then she-
Somebody get
you
those
know,
damn cookies out of the oven.
Maybe it's that scent you guys were
Yeah.
using.
Right. Yeah, it's our sprays.
And then, she finds out that there's an actual kitchen right behind the wall.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that happens. Actually, I just went downtown Detroit. I went to a wedding reception thing down there this past Sunday, and it's a jazz club, and it used to be open in the 20s, 30s. It ran until about 1985, and then they shut the doors. Well, the people that bought it in the late 90s, early 2000s, they opened the door. They buy the building because they're like, okay, we want to buy, Detroit's coming back. Let's buy this building.
Yep.
They buy the building, and they open it, and all the liquor, all the glassware, everything was in the. It's almost like in 1982, somebody put a lock on the door and they walked away, and they never took anything out of it, and it was like a time capsule, and nothing ever changed.
Well, there's another building downtown Detroit, and we heard about this, when we were with that Metro Paranormal, and they had renovated the whole building, and I guess somebody wanted to come in there and they wanted to expand, and they're like, well, can we take this wall out? And they took the wall out, and there was a whole ballroom.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, huge
Jeez.
ballroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No idea.
I want them to redo the train station.
Oh my
Oh, I
gosh,
know.
yeah.
I want to
thing
see
was
that building
beautiful.
redone.
I actually was in there when
Were
I
you?
was like real little.
Oh, when it was open.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I just want to see Optimus Prime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you captured anything on video and audio and besides Mike?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when he falls asleep, like at 3 o'clock in the morning, when you're sitting
Well,
in a dark
what kind
room.
of equipment do you use? Because I always see there's like all these different things, and I'm sure each one
Ball
does its
gag.
own. The ball gag, is that what?
Ball gag,
I mean,
So
you don't have the foot trap you hit with your.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
and then we capture them.
yeah. I mean, we use equipment. He makes lights and all
Yeah.
this different equipment because everything's like the light, the UV, the IR lights, and
Yep.
and white light. Everything is. Again, it's just.
There's a lot of theories
Yeah,
around it.
theory.
So I mean, a lot of the equipment is based around these theories, and I got to the point where I don't think I haven't really found anything that I would call concrete yet. But yeah, we do use equipment. We'll put it out there. I mean, there's stuff like the SB7, you know.
That is supposedly they can speak through
yeah.
a radio frequency.
Through
Oh,
radio
really?
frequency. Yeah. Yeah.
Then there's Ovulus.
Yeah, we've got an Ovulus. You know, I mean these, and that's just a text. I mean, it'll come up with text words and stuff like
A
that.
text message?
Wow.
Yeah.
From the
It's
dead?
Yeah, the
modern
ghosts
days,
are high tech, man.
Freaking technology's moving quick, man.
Well, no, they had it back then. They know everything.
Right.
It gets through. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
The old
honest-
flashlight thing. I mean, is
Yeah, and there's
that pretty reliable?
speculation on that because of the contacts that are just making it
Well, yeah.
hit at
Yeah.
a certain time. But there's different
But
methods.
when you have, I mean, with a flashlight, don't do one flashlight. Don't, you know, and I mean, a lot of it, and this is what she was just about to get into because I can read her mind. You know, I mean, when we,
Right.
you know, but use 3 flashlights. Use 2 or 3 flashlights.
What are you guys talking about?
And
exactly?
and direct.
Oh.
You know, I mean, direct
like
it.
the mini mag lights.
Right.
Yeah.
Set 3 of them up somewhere.
Yeah, and you just
In a row.
Yeah.
Get maybe 3 different colors. That's why I like to use 3 different colors. And if you're gonna ask a question, and you know,
Be specific.
say please light up the middle flashlight,
Yeah.
or please light
Oh.
up the right one for yes
Yeah.
and the left one.
Have you
for
had
no.
that happen?
Yes, we actually have.
Oh, I want to be there for that. That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
just do
But-
it.
That's so
but
cool.
because one flashlight doesn't mean anything.
Well,
because the contacts can come together at any point in time, and it just maybe happen that it comes
Yeah.
together after
Humidity, you know.
after you ask a question.
Yeah, but I've never had any of my flashlights just turn on or
I was
off.
just thinking that I've never sat and
So
just
if you could ask a question in it, I'm sure that's
And
more than a
but
contact.
Pretty
you know,
amazing.
it's cool when it comes
You
on.
know?
You're sitting in a room
Right.
in the dark with a bunch of people, and you're asking a question, and a flashlight comes on, and then you know everybody's like, and then you say, okay, please turn it off.
Yeah.
when it shuts off.
And then it shuts off, and then you're like, okay, that's when you're
Yeah.
okay. We need more, you
And
know.
there's a-
Then you
Yeah.
really need more flashlights.
Yeah.
But when we were up at in Sault Ste. Marie, we investigated the Valley Camp, which
Yeah.
is the sister ship to the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Right.
And there were 3 girls. This is a bunch of sailors on this ship. There were 3 of us girls, and we were in just behind one of the engine rooms or something. But we were in this little hallway, and we had flashlights, and we had K2 meters, and we had all this equipment on the ground. But whatever was there with us was you get the energy, and you get this feeling that he was so flirtatious. Like he would just light everything up, and then you'd say, okay, stop. We got to start over, and it'll all just stop.
And that was now. I mean, I got to add that. I mean, the Valley Camp. I believe the UPPRS team up there in Sault Ste. Marie are taking care of that, and that was the first co-investigation that we really did
With
you know,
them,
with
yeah.
with two teams together. You know, I love to see paranormal teams come
Yeah,
together.
collaborate together.
Yeah.
So
Collaborate, yeah.
going back to what Brian's point though, so a K2 meter, what does that do? Or supposed to do? What's that supposed to tell you?
It's a
There's-
stud finder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then that's why it was going off that day with all the sailors. It found all kinds of studs.
Right.
It has four different colors of 5
Yeah,
different
it's got
colors
different
of
colors
lights.
on it, and it measures not static electricity.
Electromagnetic.
Yeah.
Because how does a stud finder work exactly?
Well, it finds a stud, You know,
Right,
so
but it's
So
working off
if
of density.
something, so if something,
I don't have any faith in
if-
this thing.
No,
This device.
no.
It's got to be the worst
I
device
like that
ever
at least
created.
you're a voice of reason to a degree, you know?
And
That's why I made it into a ball gag, because it was useless.
But if you can make it do
Till now.
things on command, if you can get it to do what you want it to do when you ask it to do it,
Right.
then it becomes more of a tool. It's not so much what it's made for; it's
Yeah.
what you
Right.
can get. How the interaction.
That's how
that
women
you
feel
can
about
get from a-
men in general,
right.
Mike. If you can get it to do what you want it to do
Yeah, that's-
on command,
that's
it
what she
becomes more
said.
of a tool.
Yeah.
But that so after we had all that activity happen, we switched shifts. We have shifts, so everybody changes locations of where they were out on the ship. And so I ran down and I told the next group, I'm like, we are having some great activity in here. We'd like to stay. And they were like, no, we're going in now. And so I ran back in, and when I ran back in, Kathy, the girl that was there, she's like, Stephanie's back now. Stephanie's back. It's okay. You know, because she's like, the thing was just freaking out. We left.
Oh, you
And
had
so
somebody,
I
you had
said-
a
I
fan,
said, all
huh?
right, so
a
the-
groupie on the ship.
So I said, all right, the guys
got
are
an
coming
ass
in
like
here
that.
next. I said, all right, next you got a bunch of guys coming in here, so I think you should follow us because we're going to go down to the theater room. I said, so why don't you come with us? We went down to the theater room. And we had the flashlights, and we had all our meters. Everything was set up, and I laid in the I never just sit there. I was like laying on the floor in the aisleway of this theater room, and we had the flashlights all laying on the floor. And Kathy's like, "If you light up that flashlight, you'll see Stephanie's pretty face," because it was like right in my face. And boom, those flashlights came on.
Really?
Yeah.
And then after all the activity that we had there, it would go on and off on command. No,
Do you
there was
guys
no
do video
hesitation.
footage of this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
some
have
of it.
we
Video
have somebody
footage,
that was mobily
Yeah.
videotaping things.
And
Wow.
to me, again, I mean, it's like, you know, you watch some of these shows and they're like, can you turn the flashlight on? And they'll ask it like multiple times within a span of 10 minutes. And the flashlight finally comes on. Oh, we have activity. No, you don't. It just
No.
finally turned on, you know.
Well, I don't know, Mike. I mean, I could sit and I could put a flashlight out here right now, and for 20 minutes ask it to turn on. The thing
Yeah.
never comes on.
Oh, yeah. I can make it come on for
I
you.
talk to my flashlights all the time.
Right? They don't ever come on.
So the third part of that investigation, we all went into this room, and there's some of the rescue boats were in there, and it has on the wall. It had all the names of the sailors that were on the Fitzgerald when it went down.
Oh, yeah.
And
This was
we were
cool.
we were playing that song, "The Ringing of the Bells."
29?
No,
29?
I don't know what the name
How many?
of it. It's,
I
many-
I can't remember how many were on there.
So
I remember the song.
I
Yeah.
put the flashlight up there,
Yeah.
put the flashlights up on this wall, and I told him, I said, when you hear your name, I want you to light that up.
Yeah.
Did it light up every time?
Just about
Well,
every
at
time. yeah.
first,
Wow.
at first, when everybody was just hanging around, we were kind of talking, and they started playing it, and he kept lighting it up. It kept lighting up, and I'm like, turn it off. I said, okay, please, quit messing around. And we're laughing so hard because he was just being whatever it was that was there, and the girls that I was with, he was being very
I mean,
goofy.
he wanted.
like you could
he
feel the
He
energy
wanted some
of him.
action. I mean,
And
I'm just saying.
And so
That's
Yeah.
all. I'm not
yeah,
tr-
yeah.
in a
Something
nice
like
kind
that.
of way. He was looking for some action. He
And-
hasn't had any since the damn ship went down.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right.
so you start, and so we were like, I would say like, I'm like, watch this. I'm like, light it up, and it'd turn on. I'm like, shut it off, and it'd turn off. I'm like, light it up, and we
that's
just
cool.
kept playing with it.
Yeah.
And whatever it was so much fun.
So that goes-
So
it
if we
was
got a
so
flashlight right now, you think we can get any?
I think we should go in that middle.
Hell
Like,
no.
I would want more than one for one thing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if that's all we have to.
Yeah, the room where
Yeah,
you
we
guys
got
are
some
getting a
weird
lot of activity.
things going on around
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I think we should do it
Yeah.
for sure.
We'll put
Yeah.
Stephanie
Why not?
down there.
Why
Yeah.
not? Especially though. So, but see, going back to Edmund Fitzgerald though, that goes back to those are lives that were ended before their-
Abruptly.
Yeah.
abruptly
Yeah.
before maybe their times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I believe those people kind of stick around. There's unfinished
Oh, yeah.
business for them.
Definitely.
Well, and the
Yeah.
theory, another theory is why would somebody go and stay in a museum? Well, because that's why we would say about the fort. These soldiers would come back to the fort because let's say you came from a home that was, you were beat, or you had no parents and you were a foster kid or whatever, and you decided you were you had to go into the service, you were drafted in. When was the best time of your life? When you made a new family at the fort, when you found people and they became your family.
Or as a soldier, you went out to battle and you never came back.
Right. Well, it's camaraderie. I mean, you're with another
And
group of guys that,
Well, no, you go out to battle, and that was the last place you saw your wife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you go back there to see if she's still there.
Yeah.
Waiting for you.
Out to battle.
Yeah.
And it also, now the fort also housed a lot of the families that lost their homes in the Detroit riots.
Yeah.
So when they burnt the city, then that became a place of housing.
It was a refuge. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Well, I think we should definitely set up while you guys are here, do something in that middle room at least.
All we got to do is
Possibly
go to Walmart,
the
buy
doll?
some flashlights.
The doll room?
No, the center room of this place.
Where Rob is?
Where all the cats are.
Yeah, where all the cats are.
Oh, yeah. That's where you feel like something's happening?
For Wayne,
Don't let
for
Wayne
Wayne and I.
spray anything before we go in
Yeah,
there.
no.
It's just because Wayne's still having bad LSD trips.
Right.
Good point, Tony. Good point.
Is it really truly? I mean, maybe in the moment there's bad LSD trips, but when you look back on it, go.
I never had one.
It's a pretty good trip.
No.
I never had a bad one.
Never did. Either.
No, I always enjoyed it.
Yeah. You were in it for the night.
Yeah. I was committed.
Yep.
So that's really cool.
And it's nothing like what it does on TV. You go sit in rooms for hours upon hours in the middle of the night. and
Yeah, well, they got to
nothing
make a
happens.
program. They got to fit it within 30 or 60 minutes. So everything has to be edited. So, but
Yeah, it's not as glamorous as what it shows on TV. You're dirty. You're crawling around on the floor.
Yeah.
You're,
I'd love to do it. I'd love an
Yeah.
experience. I would. I would love some type
no
of
sleep.
experience.
Well, and I'm gonna pimp out our former team again. But there's one of the things that we did before we left the team is we set up the whole team set up this it was a paranormal event that they'll do on the ship in Bay City.
It's the USS Edson. It's
USS
a Vietnam Navy destroyer.
Yep. So if
Very
you
cool.
ever want to do it, they do public events out there, and look it up. And
I'd love to see some stuff done around Jackson too. I mean, just being here, there's such a history.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a history, actually.
yeah.
Well, Leslie is actually one. It's I don't know in the history book or whatever, but it's like one of the most haunted places in Michigan. It's I mean, not kidding.
Yeah.
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 I think he's
that's-
trying to sell you some
so-
bullshit, but we're gonna take it.
I'm just saying. So you might
I'm
as well go to a
joking.
haunted house that's in the most
You might as well. I
scariest
know I would.
haunted place in Michigan.
Well, and probably one.
That was a cheap
Probably the
plug.
most. It is a cheap plug,
So-
but there's truth.
But
Back-
there's truth behind it.
Yes.
Back to the history thing, though. Again, I mean, you look around at the different little towns here in Michigan, and so many years ago, like in the 18th century, what Steph was referring to with asylums is they used to call them poorhouses, right? And then years later, they would call
Poorhouses or whorehouses?
poor.
Oh, poor.
Yeah.
Whorehouse
and
sounds a lot
and that's
cooler.
where the whole theory behind, if you can't, if you can't support,
Right.
you
Too
go to
easy.
the- Yeah, it was too easy.
Oh, shiny penny.
Yeah. Yeah. So look for poorhouses.
And so
Okay.
what were they?
Okay.
They're called
Poor
poorhouses.
farms,
Poor
poor
farm.
houses.
Yeah. Yep. So that's where people would go if they couldn't afford to support themselves. So the wife would go there when the husband died. Those kind of things.
And it'd be
And
the
then-
whole.
Yeah. And then they got this idea that these rejects from society need to go to the poorhouse. So they started mixing in people that were totally sane with people that were insane.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
Michigan has a rich history. I mean, obviously, Michigan it has a rich Indian history too.
Oh,
Like,
it does.
Yeah,
it does.
I mean, a lot of the names, there was a huge Indian culture,
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
a lot of
It's
death has been happening here for a long time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Time.
And then you have aliens.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, jeez.
I'm done.
Off the
That's
track.
segment 2.
Time for beer.
Yeah.
Beer.
Rum.
Well, no, I'm just saying I can't do the alien thing.
What do you? What do you?
Why?
Right.
So
write it on his hat.
So there was that one time in band camp.
Band camp when an alien came down and molested me, and I haven't felt the same about them
You know
since.
they walk
He had a
around
white
here,
mask.
right?
Oh,
Nice.
get the hell out of here! What you talking about,
You
Willis?
you know, when you go to the grocery, there's always one there.
Get out of here,
Yeah.
man!
Go where?
To the
To
grocery.
the grocery store when I go.
There's always an
When
alien.
I go get
Have
salami.
you ever been to Walmart?
You go to Walmart and you tell me.
Well,
there's not
that's
aliens.
different. That's different. That's different. That's different. There's a ton of aliens at Walmart.
Yeah.
No,
Wait.
no, hey, Walmart. We'll send you a
The
gift
grocery
basket.
store?
They're everywhere. Aliens have been with us for
At the grocery? Why
Ever.
the?
What do you mean aliens?
I know, but why are they at the grocery store?
Yeah, why the grocery store?
You got to
They
eat
got
too.
jobs. They can't just eat people.
They gotta
have
eat.
to blend
They eat
in.
people.
Eat people.
Holy cow!
Where are we going with this?
I think we're going into our scary good beer
Let's
segment.
just go there.
That's it.
And with that, I think we're gonna get into the scary good beer.
Hey, I'll tell you this. Actually, Stephen, it's not that I don't believe in aliens. I do.
Stop. This is
No, I do. I do.
Really?
I don't. I don't believe there's
Just
no,
not grocery
I just
store
don't think we're
aliens.
just this one freaking planet with the only living intelligent thing on it. in the
Gas
whole
station aliens,
freaking-
yes.
I
How
just
often
find
were
that
you
hard to believe.
probed?
I just find that hard to believe.
They have been
pass those
around.
down.
Now
They
that
have
part I
been
don't
around
know.
for-
Now see, now you lost me there. But that's
They've
okay.
been around longer than we have. They study us. They
Okay.
want.
Who
and,
else
you
told
know,
the
I don't
shaman?
disagree with you.
Who else told the shamans what to mix together?
I don't. Well, you didn't have a lot to do. It's not like they had a lot going on.
Yeah, no. Hey, let's try this. Hold my beer. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, not a lot going on.
Thank you, sir.
All
right, what do we got here?
I'm not a beer
Jen
drinker,
picked this
but I'll
up
do
for
it.
us. Jen picked this up.
Just don't tell us what you think of it.
Stop. Horse.
We're gonna get her on camera. We're getting Brian's wife on
Yeah.
camera one day.
We'll do it 3D.
That is the camera too.
So this is Dark
Right
Horse.
there, that camera.
Actually,
Yeah.
Dark Horse is down the road, Marshall, Michigan. Awesome brewery.
Oh my gosh.
Really cool place.
It's got a manual.
Now, have you
cap.
guys tried
You been
this?
to Dark Horse?
Oh yeah, no, I've heard about it. I've been
It's
wanting to
really
go.
cool. It's a great
Yeah.
little place.
Is this Bofo?
Oh, it's pretty big.
I'm
now.
glad
Is that
you
what we
gave us-
agreed it was called?
Holy
Boffo?
freaking!
glad
Look
you
at the
gave
head
me
on
that.
that, Tony.
What is it? Is that what it is?
That's got a
Looks
good
like
head.
Boffo.
Oh.
Bafo.
Bafo?
It's Bafo
Yeah.
Brown.
Bofo
Dark
Brown.
Horse.
So you give the bad stuff to Tony?
Yeah, Tony will drink anything. Remember when we were a kid, like Mikey? Remember Mikey, the life cereal guy? Remember? I got a pretty good read of people. I'll get you some burger. I'll get you.
Oh,
He's taking some liberties, bro.
Want to try that?
he's already been
Oh,
trying.
you already got Dark Horse.
I told you to drink anything.
That
Now
means,
this,
that means those 12 that we brought are gone.
Tony will drink it. That's just like Mikey won't eat it.
That's right. That's what I was gonna say. It was
Right.
like
Michael Jordan.
it was like when I was a kid. I remember the Life commercials.
Yeah.
Mikey likes it. So yeah.
so it's a 7%
That's what it is.
by
isn't it?
volume.
Hey, I'll buy you Burger King later. Chill out, okay?
Oh, dude, that sounds so good. That sounds great.
Not Friday. It's fucking real, bro.
All right.
So, Buffalo.
So what we do is we do 1 out of 10 bloody skulls. There are halves,
Bitch, I'm gonna make you cry.
and we judge the artwork and the overall taste.
I do like the artwork.
Do you?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's eyes. Jen bought it for the eyes.
It's frogs.
In a pinwheel?
It almost looks like a cat, don't it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's a bunch of cats in the back there.
What?
Yeah, they got no skin on them, no.
Oh, I thought you meant in this.
No.
Is it all smoke?
Maybe that's where they got the cats from. It was the Awaken.
All right.
All right.
Hey, wait a minute. I like where this is going. Hold on. I like what's happening over here right now.
Where's my camera?
I like what's happening over
I don't
here.
know where my phone's at.
Oh,
Okay, so we're gonna try it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh,
I'm not,
crap.
You know, I'm not a beer drinker, but
Yeah, I know you're not.
I'll try it.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Really?
That's so good, dude.
Now that is the first time.
Now you
in
gotta
many
you gotta
years.
walk.
My gosh.
No. Wow.
Wow.
What do you think? It's pretty
Just,
good.
hey, come right over
It's
here and
good.
just stand.
That's good. Did you?
I love it, dude. You still got the
you-
great movements. It's
you
all about the
didn't
movement,
need-
man. You know what?
It
And
is.
I will say this.
You're freaking
Man, you
me
nailed
out.
those movements, man.
If
He
you
did
people
though,
could see what we see.
because those movements in the later, they weren't the same, man. It was all about that movement, the way it moved, the way it walked. He walked.
Stop. Just stop. You're
Uh-huh.
freaking me out.
I bet you he didn't. I bet
Yeah,
he didn't need
I like
Vaseline
it.
this time, did he?
The bush, the bush scene was my favorite, dude. It was. The bush scene.
God, you're
I loved it. He's just
freaking me
standing
out.
there. He steps out, and I never
Stop.
forgot.
Yeah, this is our cameraman.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send me these pictures.
Yeah.
You're freaking me out. Stop.
Damn it! I think I've seen that guy before.
I love it. Dude, I love it.
think
love
that's
it. I love it.
Rob, you're missing out here.
I love it.
Stop.
That's good.
You should just go stand out by the road. Just
love
wave. Stand out by the highway.
Come on.
Gosh.
I love it.
Just open the door once in a while and look out.
I love it.
I can't even
That's
look
awesome.
at him.
I know.
Golly, completely forget we were talking about beer.
You used to be dreams, and now you're nightmares.
Oh wait, let's talk about those dreams.
Yeah.
We gotta get him out of that light.
Oh, it's getting
There we go,
closer.
right there.
It's getting closer
Right there.
and closer.
Yeah, boy. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you hand me that phone.
Yeah, he's not
Hey,
happy with me right now. Hold on.
Chris,
So
hand
we
me
gotta
that
wrap
phone.
this up.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
Hand me
I
that.
gotta live. So I'm gonna give this. I'm giving this 7 bloody skulls. 7 bloody skulls. So, okay. Hey, you guys. Anyone?
Oh my God! Look at
Yeah. Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
that was great.
Hey, Jeff. That's for you, man.
Yeah.
I just made out with Michael Myers.
I just made out with Michael Myers.
You just got bitched by Michael Myers.
Oh, that was fucking awesome.
Oh, Lord. So this is good.
It is good.
I can't think right now, dude. Michael Myers just attacked my
I know.
face.
I got it on something.
you-
I got
You
a
need
photo.
a cigarette now?
Beer
You know,
and
the
smoke.
person that wins
I
that,
need a paper towel and a cigarette.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. And we're going to do that.
What's that?
I'm swapping that mask with the one I have at home. No doubt about it.
Oh, dude.
Oh, this is a handsome fellow.
Frank and Wayne got it, dude.
See, that just wouldn't have been as scary.
Oh, you wouldn't. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
All right,
so
so
awesome, dude. I love it.
I'm giving
Yeah,
this.
you're the only one that's ever gotten one of those. Even
Oh
Mike
yeah.
got one of
Thank
those.
you.
That's the first time I'd ever seen him put that thing on.
Thank you.
Man.
I know.
I appreciate it.
I know.
Stephanie thinks it was all about her, and it was.
It was.
Oh,
She has dreams.
98% was about her. 'Cause she
98%.
Well, according.
Oh, stop it some more.
Apparently, she has dreams.
But then I thought, oh, this fucking smoochy poochie.
Yeah, that's what most people
Oh.
try to do.
We
So,
have those pictures.
I don't know about that, bro.
oh shit, I love it.
All right.
That good of a kisser, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were gonna make out. You know, if you would have slowly came in, I would have been more prepared.
Oh, more romantic. More
just
more
romantic.
romantic.
He needs,
He needs the romance.
he needs, like,
Bromance.
shit.
Yeah.
Fucking soften up, huh? No.
Next
I
time,
need
Vaseline on the lips.
I need a fluffer.
You need to take it, bro.
Just take it.
Dry.
No, bring that Vaseline.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
Okay, so
Wow.
All right. Give
That's
us a
amazing.
moment.
Seven
Mo-
Blaze
wait.
calls. 7.
Moment of silence. Okay, now let's.
Oh my God! Did you
All right.
do
So
that?
what do you? No.
Did you fart?
I know he asked for a moment of silence.
Stephanie
No.
did.
That,
Stephanie farted.
Dang,
I get blamed
dude.
for everything.
I was giving myself a cut point here.
Are we doing?
So What do you what?
7.
Chris, give it a
Just,
7.
I'm done.
Okay,
7
7.
bloody
Yep.
skulls.
Yeah.
All right. How about you?
6.
6?
Not bad. 6
All
or
right.
It's
7.
good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It wasn't too hoppy.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it's a I don't know what the hell
Hoppy.
it is. It's an ale. It's a brown ale, so it's going to be more
All right.
porter like.
Mike, how about you?
You know what? I'm not a beer drinker.
No, he's
I used to be.
Yeah,
years
but-
ago.
Okay,
You
but
can still
okay,
have an
so
opinion,
just
Mike.
just kind of
But-
even the artwork.
Your opinion is still important, bro.
It's amazed me enough that I would give it an 8.
Wow.
I like
Yeah.
the name.
I mean, I love it.
yeah.
Have you guys
I
ever
like
seen
the
the series
dark
these
horse.
guys
I'm
did?
gonna-
Yeah, it's too bad they
TV?
made it more about like they should have made it more about the beer. It only made it one season.
I thought it was funny.
It was
I thought
funny,
It was awesome. Yeah.
but-
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a 7 on this as well.
So
6. You had a 6.
we're at 7.
I
He
said
had an
6
8.
to 7. I was.
And
All right,
she's-
so
she's a
7.
beer
All
drinker.
right, 7's good. All right,
7 bloody skulls. Well,
All right, cool. We appreciate you guys taking the time.
It's always good
To
to
have
come
some
here and
drinks.
see
Oh, yeah.
you guys.
Yes,
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
mutual.
thank you.
Yeah.
You guys rock.
All right,
Have to come
and
out again.
We'll
do this again.
Every year.
Do it
We'll
again.
have to turn it
Let's do
every,
again.
every
Hey,
year.
Tony, let's do this again, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Rock and roll.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you
All
some
right.
pain.